Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Boardroom Buddies podcast. Each podcast is themed, and I interview and ask questions from a specialist who's also the owner of a small business, just like us. If you're a business owner of a micro business, then I hope that this sparks your thinking, answers some questions that you may have, and that you get some tips on the subject that helps you move your business forwards. I do hope that you enjoy the podcast. I've very much enjoyed recording it. Welcome to Boardroom Buddies podcast, and thank you for joining me. So, I am here in a pub garden because it's about 29 degrees and you will hear the chink of ice in glasses. And we are on soft drinks, I have to say, because we are driving, we are being good. I'm on the famous Coca-Cola, other colas are available. And you'll hear the birds in the background and probably a bit of traffic in the background as well. So we're outside, it's very warm. And this week is all about marketing. One of my Boardroom Buddies clients or members calls it the dark art of marketing, because quite often we talk a lot about marketing in our Boardroom Buddies and what sort of social media should we be doing? Should we be doing all of it? Is it all relevant to our small businesses? What other activities should we do? Or is that the only thing that we do? And to be honest, it's quite confusing. And it's also confusing because we're never quite sure, are we promoting or are we marketing or are we selling or are we marketing? And so this week I am joined by the fabulous Zoe Russell from ZHR Marketing. Hi Zoe, thank you for joining me.
Hi Jackie, thank you very much for having me.
So we're going to be talking marketing and Zoe has worked internationally. She's worked with clients in different parts of the world and in fact only just got back from Germany last week.
Yeah.
And is very passionate now about working with the owners of small businesses to help them to be clear and effective about the marketing that they're doing. And so I think it's going to be really informative what you have to say. I'm very relevant. So Zoe, over to you really. One of the big questions I think is, where do I start as a small business?
And that is the big question, isn't it? So just to put this into context, so I've worked with big clients and I've worked with small clients, and as well as working with companies, I've worked with agencies as well. So There's been a lot of elements around sort of setting your marketing plans and the big company strategies, but also delivering the marketing and being really creative about it from an agency side. So when I decided to set up on my own, it was really clear to me that small businesses, who are obviously like the backbone of our country at the moment, weren't well served when it came to getting marketing advice. Because normally a company would go to an agency to deliver their marketing, but quite frankly the costs are way out of the league of a small business. Yes. And conversely, the small business owner is the person who probably needs the most help with marketing, because they need to be able to do things cost effectively, time effectively, and get the big buck, and those monies go to a real person, not to a big PLC. So it was important for me to start working with people like that. And what also became clear is that when people set up a business, they know loads about the thing that they're actually doing, but there's lots that they don't know about running a business. Yeah. And the thing is, marketing is one of those funny bits where it kind of creeps into almost every single area of a business. So not having marketing knowledge or marketing understanding can be something that makes it more difficult for people.
Yes, yeah.
So to go back to your actual question of where do we start, you've got to start with your strategy. You can't just start promoting your business without having a plan and a strategy behind it. And there's a few key areas that I work on with people, and this is what I would recommend any new business owner work on. The first one is your goals. You really need to be looking not just 1 year ahead, but a good 10 years ahead. Where is your business going to be when you come to close it?
Yeah.
What is it that you're actually trying to build and trying to achieve? And it may be that you're thinking, well, why do I need to understand that for, doing a direct mail campaign or something like that? But the thing is, when you start developing your marketing tactics, they've got to be appropriate for the growth that you want to have in your business.
Yeah.
And if you only ever want to have a business that, washes its face, allows you to have a couple of holidays a year and that kind of thing, the amount of marketing that you're going to need to do to get the clients in is going to be much less than if you want to sell your business for a few million in 5 years' time.
Yes.
So having that goal of what you want to start with is really important.
And that's where we start with Boardroom Buddies, of course, the same point.
Exactly.
Where are you trying to get to?
Exactly. And it's so important just in your general, if you're going to make a business a success, but you need to understand your goals so that you understand the size of the marketing job that's ahead of you. That's probably the simplest way of putting it.
Yeah. And we're not born with this knowledge, are we?
No.
I think many business owners, they set up their business, they're so good at something, they want to provide a service or they have a product or something like that. But running a business is different.
Yeah.
And, an accountant isn't born being an accountant. No. They have to learn how to do it. And so I think it's the same for a business owner with all of these other functions that we do, like marketing, HR, bookkeeping, those kinds of things. We have to learn it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, a lot of us accidentally fall into running our own businesses.
Yes.
I'm one of those people who got made redundant, which is why I set my business up. And, I didn't know all of this stuff either. So I ran my business previously for 11 years in a different way, and I never had a long-term plan for it. And guess what? It never went anywhere. Whereas now I've set it up again, having gone out and worked in sort of a business coaching environment in the meantime. When I set up this time, it was from a really different perspective, and my business is in a really different place because I've been doing the marketing that has enabled the amount of growth that I actually want to get for it. So it's a really important thing. And when I go through an exercise, when I do workshops with my clients, of really helping them to distill their goals and to actually make them smart, so that they are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant and time-bound. There we go. You can remember those without having them written down. They go away saying, I've got so much clarity about my business now. And even if that's all they get, it makes an enormous difference.
Yes.
So that's the first point, goals. The next bit, target market.
Yeah.
And you hear a lot of stuff about, avatars and all of this kind of thing. But, you can go into a lot of depth with who your target market is. And, there are some people who very much recommend, you have such a picture of your ideal client that she's called Tracy, she loves the Coronation Streets and she eats Whisper bars, for example. And I can see where that can be helpful and relevant when you're trying to, get an emotional connection in the content that you're writing, for example. But really, from a really practical perspective, you need to identify your target market so you know where they are hanging out, so you know where your message needs to be placed so that they see it.
Yes.
So this is much easier in a business to business context, but actually identifying, is it businesses that you're after, or is it just man on the street consumers that you're after? That's an important differentiator to start with. But then it's things like, is there a geographical restriction? Is there a particular type of person within the business that's going to be the right one to speak to? Because there's no point building a great relationship with the head of sales if actually what you're trying to sell in is something that's going to be appropriate for the HR function, and it's the HR director that you need to have on
Yes.
side.
Yeah.
So the more specific that you can get about who it is that you're marketing to, the easier it will actually be to let them know that they are the people that you are trying to sell to, and B, as I said before, find out where they're hanging out and work out which marketing tactics you can use to get in front of them directly.
Yeah.
Target market is really important, and if you don't know who you're trying to sell to, they are not going to know that you are trying to sell to them.
Yeah.
So that's a big
Okay.
one.
Yeah, that makes loads of sense. But what about all the different activities, if you like? So there's social media, there's your marketing collateral, your brochures, your business cards, and those cards. Which do you have it all? Do we do it all? All the social media platforms?
Again, it's going to depend. So when you know who your target market is, you know where they're hanging out. So that will immediately start to reduce some of the things. So for example, if you are selling something that is a luxury brand, is very visual, that type of thing, when you're looking at your social media platforms, Instagram is probably going to be a more obvious choice than some of the others. So you have to look at who's hanging out on these platforms and which is going to be most appropriate for me. Don't try and do all of them, because you'll just never get any work done. There's no point. Pick one and be really, really good at it. I will also say, though, that even if your product or service is very individual based and would be classed as business to consumer, don't underestimate the power of LinkedIn, because LinkedIn, yes, of course, it's all business people, but business people are also real people. And so, for example, I'm getting married later this year. I find stuff on LinkedIn that will help me for my wedding, because that's where I hang out a lot of the time. I still need personal stuff. I've had lots of recommendations for personal venues and things like that. So never underestimate the power of LinkedIn as a social media platform.
Right, okay.
But then the other thing that will help to inform what you're doing is what your product or service is, and nailing down your product or service so that you can describe it in an easy handful of words is also really important.
So is that a bit like your elevator pitch?
To some extent, yes, but it's also actually what you genuinely are offering to people. So I have a number of clients, for example, who are in the HR arena.
Yes.
And HR is vast. There are so many different areas within HR, but a lot of the HR people I know are trying to sell lots of the different bits because they don't want to miss out on a potential sale. But what happens is that then when they're trying to tell people about it, however they're doing that, their message gets really, really diluted. And it's a bit like when you don't know who you're selling to, when you don't know exactly what you're selling, it makes it harder. So you find a lot of people when they're starting out, they will try and sell everything that they can do to everybody.
Yes.
And then they get no
Guilty.
business.
Me, I did that.
Everyone does. Whereas if you get known for one thing that you are absolutely fabulous at, then it's easier for people to latch onto and think, I want to buy that. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't sell the other things into people when they come and ask you, or when you get into a conversation about it, but you will find the leads coming to you more easily if you're really clear about what you're selling and what the benefit is to the person that you're selling it to. And that's a really important thing when you're defining your messaging for wherever it's going out, that it's not about what you do, it's about what you can do for your clients.
Yes.
What are the benefits? Everybody loves time and money saving, but what is it going to do for them?
Yeah. So do you need a website? Because not everybody has a website, I've found.
I think a website is a really great investment as a shop window at a minimum when you're setting out. I think there's different schools of thought on it.
Yeah.
And I have to be honest, I don't always go to people's websites to look at things. I will look at what they're doing on LinkedIn. I will look at they might be putting landing pages up instead. But I do think that if you have a website, it helps with credibility, because people can come, they can check you out, they can see that you are who you say you are, and it gives you good opportunities to tell people exactly what it is that you want to tell them. Be really clear about all of those benefits in one place, be really clear about your products and services, and also to communicate a bit about you. Because people buy from people, so having a bit of personality in that website, that's a great place to be able to do it.
A lot of people do their own websites, don't they?
Yes.
They kind of, do the cheapy option, I guess, and I did as well.
Yes.
I did as well to start with.
And I think it's worth investigating what other cost-effective options you have, because I know that I couldn't design a website as well as the person who put my website together, for example. And one of the other big things that we were talking about earlier, copywriter. So having somebody else write the marketing words for your website or for any other material is worth its weight in gold. People think that because we can actually write, we can write copy.
Yes.
And it's a huge skill, and it will pay back. You look at some websites, you can tell where a professional has written it, and they're really speaking to you, and you get a buzz about what they're doing. And then another website where somebody's written what's important to them, and it's not important to you as a consumer at all.
Just on the kind of, I suppose, copywriting thing, really. If what you do is very technical, do you think that your web copy needs to be technical?
Now, again, this is where it comes back to target market.
Okay.
Because you might be selling something technical, but are you selling it to technical people? So if the person that you are selling to and that is going to buy your product needs you to be demonstrating that you know your stuff and it's technical and all of that kind of thing, then more of an element of that, yes. But if actually what you're selling is very technical, but the people buying it are not technical, no, it needs to be as untechnical as it can possibly be.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why identifying your target market and their characteristics is so important.
Yeah. I have looked at some other businesses that are very technical, and I don't understand what they're doing on their website, what they do from their website, because it is so technical. But that might be just because I'm not very bright in that area.
But are you a potential customer of theirs?
I probably wasn't, no, but
so and there's an argument that you can also mix it up. So I always use the phrase lowest common denominator. So what of your customer base, what's the least educated about what you're selling person there, right for them?
I see. Oh, okay.
So you
Good
need
tip.
So you need to make sure that the person who's least educated about what you do can still understand what you do and aim your copy at them.
Brilliant. Okay, I think you've covered everything there. Yeah. Now I know that you do like a program for marketing for owners?
So I run workshops
Okay.
where we very much go through the strategic stuff, so the goals, target market, the product and service, and the pricing.
Yes.
And I bang on about those 4 things because they're the things you've just got to get right.
Right.
And then we look at what marketing tactics are going to be most appropriate based on those things. And it's very difficult to actually just say to somebody without knowing very much about their business, yes, this is the tactic you should use. I remember when I very, very first started out and I was speaking at an event and somebody asked a question and said, what's the one marketing thing I could do that would guarantee success in my business? And I said, look, if I knew the answer to that, I wouldn't be here with you today. I'd be on my own private island, in the Caribbean somewhere.
Yeah.
And she got up and walked out.
Oh, no.
And the thing is that there are various tactics that most small business owners can use really effectively. So email marketing, for example, networking. Networking is a brilliant one.
Is that where you start, really?
For me, I think networking is a great way to start building your contact database, building your support system as well, but being able to spread the word and build those relationships, because people do buy from people. But again, there's lots of nuance behind any tactic that you do that needs to be tailored to your business. So at the very least, I would say to a small business owner, if you can't afford to get marketing support in, buy a book. Buy a book about that specific thing. So if you've heard somebody talk about marketing funnels, for example, which is where you're getting people in at the top end and marketing to them so it ends up coming out of the sale, buy a book about marketing funnels and learn how to then apply it within your business.
So on your program then, it sounds like it's not like a set do this, do that. It's different for everybody, so it's kind of helping teach people how to be effective.
Yes.
For their business and for them.
Yes. And so, people may have been doing an email campaign, for example, and not getting results from it, but we can sometimes look at the language that's in the emails, look at the headline. Headlines need to be really catchy to get people's attention, but again, you can Google lots and lots of information on this to get yourself a head start, and then as you start growing, maybe invest in a bit more expert help and start outsourcing certain things as well. Because the same reason that people might come to you for your business because you're the expert, the same applies with other elements as well.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you ever so much. So Zoe, how do we get in touch with you?
So my website is zhrmarketing.co.uk, or Zoe Russell on LinkedIn. I'm quite prolific on there, so do feel free to connect and drop me a message. It's a great online networking platform, and I love expanding my network.
That's brilliant. Thank you ever so much for all of your expertise there, Zoe. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
I do hope that you've enjoyed this episode of the Boardroom Buddies podcast. Do subscribe for more podcasts, and it would be lovely if you shared it on your favourite podcast platform. If you have any questions or you would like to talk any more on the topic, then do connect with me on LinkedIn or email me on jax, that's JAX, @jackiecasey.consulting. And thanks for listening.